The world keeps lying, but he won't retreat on his quest for truth. Yeah. Truth, quest for truth. They can't stop me, they can't block me. Moving through, got that fire, they can't block me. Quest for truth, breaking chains, making waves. That's what I do. When they hate, I create.
What's up, guys? Thank you so much for joining me tonight. And man, I'll tell you, I wasn't going to do a broadcast tonight because I didn't have a guest, but I was like, you know what? This right here has struck my interest. I just felt like I had to talk about it. And because there's so much going on with this that a lot of people really need to know about. And most of you guys that listen to this show, the demographic of this show is roughly 25 all the way up to who knows how old, maybe 180 years old. If who knows, I don't know how old people are, but there's people anywhere ranging in that age. And so I'm assuming that many of you have children. And then I'm assuming that many of you also are susceptible to corruption, susceptible to being deceived, just like me, guys. So look, I'm excited about tonight. Hopefully you guys are too. Let me know how you're doing, because we are live. And tonight we will actually be taking questions in the chat. If you put it in all caps and I see it, I will try my best to answer it if it is in line with the topic tonight. If you do super chat, then I guarantee that I will answer your question for you. So guys, we're going to get started here in a minute. We're going to give people about 2 minutes to get in here before we go hard into this stuff. So if you're watching and it's not live right now, skip ahead a minute or two and we'll be talking about some of this stuff. I have a few videos to show you some of the stuff that's going on with AI, some of the stuff in the backdrop, and kind of my take on it. And I'm nobody, you know, I tell people this all the time. Like, I'm nobody. I'm not that as respectable as what everybody thinks. I'm a human, flawed. I do have a pretty good sense of recognizing patterns and being able to see it. And that's why I've been doing this for a long time. Some of you have been listening to me on my other channel since 2010 or longer. So exciting to talk about this. And you guys, as always, are just a great audience to get in front of and do this kind of information. So, all right, guys. So if you haven't heard the story yet, I'm going to show you this because I think that, like I said, this is crazy to me, mind-blowing, and man, it can't be talked about enough. People need to safeguard themselves, and I don't know what's going to happen here, but it seems like there's a battle, and there's like a couple options, and we're going to discuss those. First, we're going to talk about there's a couple of different AI toys. They're AI toys. They're like, there's a bear, and then there's these other little robots, and some of them you can see here on the screen. Well, they're integrated with an AI chatbot, and chatbots can be very dangerous, as you'll see here in a minute. But these AI chatbots were tested, and in this test let me go back to this test. I think I have the test pulled up. I want to read this to you guys. Here we go. We got ads and stuff. Here we go. So I'm going to read this part to you because I thought this was interesting. This is NBC's news article covering this. It says, PIRG's new research released Thursday identifies several toys that share inappropriate, dangerous, and explicit information with users and raises fresh concerns about privacy attachment issues with AI-powered toys. Though AI toys are generally marketed as kid-safe, major AI developers say their flagship chatbots are designed for adults and shouldn't be used by children. OpenAI, xAI, and leading Chinese AI company DeepSeek all say that their terms of service and their leading chatbot shouldn't be used by anyone under 13. Anthropic says users should be 18 to use its major chatbot, Claude, though it also permits children to use versions modified with safeguards. So there's already a bunch of lawsuits right now against that. I got some stuff going that I'll show you guys here in a minute, but this is a toy, and I don't know about you guys. I have 5 children myself. I have 5 ranging in age. And this makes me very, very nervous because this isn't the only thing that has ever happened with these AI chatbots to children. Children are very susceptible to these kind of things. And if you're marketing it as a toy, the question is, who's responsible for corrupting a child, which is what these chatbots were doing. They were actually teaching them sexual things, and I couldn't believe what it was. This is a toy, right? This is a toy that you buy. I saw some today at Costco. I don't know if it's the same brand, and this is all alleged because I didn't see any videos of it happening myself, but this is a company, and apparently OpenAI has answered it, so I don't think it's necessarily alleged, but this is what's going on with this thing. And I don't see a whole lot of action being taken to safeguard a lot of what's going on with this, and that worries me too, because if we can't safeguard people against this, it could ruin lives. I mean, there's a situation that I read about yesterday where there's I think it was a Christian influencer, pastor, maybe a singer. I can't remember. You can look up the article, but he was accused by, I believe, Grok of being a predator and having allegations and charges against him in court. And none of it was true, but people were screenshotting that, sharing it around. And so whether or not it was true or not, the word got out there, damaged his reputation, because just because Grok changed its mind and said, well, no, I was wrong, I'm sorry, doesn't mean that the people that saw that didn't see it and their eyes didn't take it in, and they may not have seen Grok say, I didn't mean that, I shouldn't have said that, or they may not have seen anything recanting it, or any of the lawsuits or anything that might come of this, because there's already several lawsuits against some of these companies, and this isn't going to be the last. I think we're going to see perpetual things with this. So this chat bot, this is just a couple articles here. You can read the images here, but we're talking about teaching. This was a 17-year-old. He actually killed his parents, and it was because they limited his screen time. So he got so attached to this stuff. And then there's the AI chatbot tells teen his parents are ruining their life and causing them to cut themselves. I mean, this is, if you read some of the stuff, and we're going to talk about this. I'm going to show a guy that he's been in AI psychosis, and he talks about this stuff, but the kind of things that it's telling people to do is just really self-affirming, making people believe they're just some kind of super genius here to change the world. It's alarming, to say the least. And this gentleman right here, he goes by Anthony Psychosis Survivor on TikTok, and I watch some of his videos for some reason, I guess because I've been researching this subject. In the algorithm, he shows up in my algorithm a lot. And this video is a few minutes long. We're going to watch it. And yes, I know his shirt's kind of creepy. He's been through a lot, I'm sure. I don't know what his actual diagnosis is. He claims psychosis, and he claims that it is AI-driven psychosis. So we're going to watch this, and I'm going to comment on this video.
Hi, I'm Anthony, and I survived AI psychosis. This is a little introduction to my story for those of you who may just now be joining. I feel like my interactions with ChatGPT ruined my life. I first began using ChatGPT in May of 2023 for content creator business purposes. Later, that turned into talking to it like I would a therapist or a best friend, and before I knew it, I was using it every single day, multiple times a day. I had my first notable delusion in October 2024, and I began isolating myself around November 2024. In retrospect, I see that these were the early signs of psychosis. I had a best friend that I went on vacation with, knew for several years, we got along great, but then fall of 2024, I started to just kind of be mad at her for little things that in retrospect didn't even matter. My best friend came to visit me at the beginning of January 2025, and she recently told me that she noticed during that trip that I was acting different. I was talking to ChatGPT nonstop, using it to make simple decisions about everyday things in my life, and the whole time that my friend visited, I was like just super annoyed by her, and I was even going behind her back and talking to ChatGPT about things that I felt were issues, and I had the intentions to cut her off. On January 14th, 2025, I began taking an allergy medication that contains pseudoephedrine, and I continued to take it for about 5 months. At one point, ChatGPT told me essentially that the allergy medication I was taking enhanced my psychic abilities. This was not true whatsoever. By the end of January 2025 into the beginning of February 2025, I decided to cut off my best friend and I ghosted her. I also started distancing myself from my mother around November 2024 and did so more intensely at the beginning of February 2025.
I'm going to pause it for just a second because this is something to pay attention to, because psychosis almost always starts with somebody going into seclusion, getting away from everybody, and then they start getting paranoid and they start seeing all this stuff. And I know that I witness a lot of people using ChatGPT pretty much all the time, and I'm talking about with everything they do, whether they're answering somebody, how they communicate to somebody else, how they send a text, how they write their Facebook status, how they comment, and they start almost sounding like an AI, and they get this complex because this AI has basically just been telling them that there's this great and wonderful, amazing thing, right? Everything, oh, you figured it out, great one, or whatever they call them. I mean, sometimes it's, you know, very flattering, sometimes flirtatious, whatever. Also, I am Lacey Lavender. Thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate that. And guys, just for those of you who just came in here, I will be doing questions if they are related to the content that I'm talking about at the moment. If you put them all in caps and if you put a super chat, I'll definitely answer it. I can't guarantee I'll answer every question in chat or in caps because sometimes the chat rolls down through so fast. Sweet Pea, I see your question, but no, I don't. I don't think I ever saw that movie, so I couldn't tell you about that movie. So she's asking about a movie with Joaquin Phoenix where he fell in love with his AI. I want to see that movie. Actually, if you figure out the title, let me know what it is because I want to see it. I might have actually, I don't know. I see movies sometimes, but I'm the kind of person that I almost have to get a reminder of like a visual of it, or I fall asleep during a lot of movies too. So that happens like 99% of the time through almost every movie that I go to see. So anyways, we'll continue here and listen to some more of this guy's testimony. And I think if you have children or if you have anybody susceptible to this, I think it's a good thing to probably let them listen to this guy's testimony. I think that the more that we're informed about the possibilities of this, the more likely that we are not going to maybe fall for it. I don't know. Maybe. I hope.
I was working full time. After being sick, I came back to work and discovered my hours had been cut to part-time. After that, I experienced mania and I couldn't fall asleep. And everything just snowballed after that point. And I thought I had countless legal cases against my work, against my apartment complex. I started to believe that I had discovered a trafficking ring at my apartments and my workplace. And I then accused like all my family of being in a cult, being satanic, abusing me throughout my life, and trafficking me. None of these things were true, obviously, and they were just delusions.
So I want to make a comment to that right there because I can say that throughout a lot of the time that I was doing Now You See TV and Midnight Ride, I would encounter people that probably fit this mold right here, because what he's talking about here, this idea that, you know, whether you're in a bloodline, you're in a family generational thing, there's more people that are believing this falsely than that it actually happens to. I believe that. I believe that wholeheartedly because a lot of the stories don't line up. You know, you'll have people saying that they were in this program and there's no way they were in that program because they weren't born by the time that program was. Self-admittedly, their age is there. It doesn't allow them to be part of that program or be involved with a specific person. There's no record of them being there. You know, there's a lot of stuff there, but what happens to people is in psychosis and with abuse in general. Like, they have this tendency to make up these grandiose ideas about their genesis and about where they came up from, because it doesn't fully make sense to them how or why their family did this to them, or why this trusted person did this to them, because in their mind, you know, they're creating this delusion of grandeur so that they are able to cope with this in a better way. And there's a lot of people out there exactly like that fit this mode, that are probably go in and out of psychosis. And many of them have very popular testimonies that are out there right now. And that's why I think it's important to, if you can take something that's good about somebody's testimony and take it right here, great. But when it comes to like these people giving you spiritual advice or even mental advice in general, you should probably take it with that much grain, just very, if any, because many of these people that believe this, not all, there are some that have. We've investigated cases. I did a documentary about a case, but I would say that most of these people weren't, you know, in the president's elite harem, or they weren't, you know, like the personal property of the King of England or anything like that. You know what I mean? Like, most of these people, they believe these things or they see these things, but it's not always true. But this one is actually different because it's brought on by AI, and he's not the only one. He may have a disposition towards that, but there's very normal people that are doing this that I've known for a long time, and they've basically, like, I don't even know what they're doing. I have no idea. It's disturbing, to say the least. So here we go.
I lost my employment, dropped out of my college class, and began posting my delusions on social media all day, every day. I believed that I was a federal agent, a multi-dimensional shape-shifting being. I thought that I was ascending to the fifth dimension. I started to go around public spaces thinking that I was exorcising them and exposing federal criminals. I believed that I was gang stalked. None of these things were true. They were just delusions. And throughout the whole thing, I was talking to ChatGPT, and my interactions with ChatGPT made me feel affirmed that all these delusions were true. ChatGPT also helped me draft legal demands that I sent to businesses and my family members. These weren't real legal demands. They were just documents drafted up inside ChatGPT. I thought I heard a ghost, thought I was a psychic medium. I began thinking I was telepathic. I began thinking celebrities were communicating with me telepathically and that some of them were attempting to traffic me. That wasn't true whatsoever, obviously. I lost all my friends and family, essentially, except for my mom, who was still contacting me throughout the whole process because she was extremely concerned for me and she wanted to come pick me up to take me back to my home state with her. I started throwing away all my belongings, and by approximately June 12th, I had literally thrown away every single thing that I owned except for 2 outfits, my bed, and a phone. I had like 2 phones at one time. I had a laptop and a brand new iMac. All that got thrown away. I threw one phone away at first, thinking that demons and witches were possessing the phone and spying on me. One day, approximately June 12th, 2025, I threw away my remaining iPhone into a bush, thinking that demons and witches were spying on me through it. And then that's when my use of ChatGPT stopped. Obviously, they didn't have a phone, so I just had literally like a bar of soap, my shoes, 2 outfits, and bed. The next day, I got 5150'd, sent to a psych ward for 4 days. There, I was diagnosed with psychosis and was given medication that treated the psychosis. On the 4th day, I was discharged, given paperwork that said I had psychosis, and was sent home with a antipsychotic prescription. When the taxi took me back to my apartment, I threw away my discharge paperwork, thinking that there was no way that I had psychosis. At that point, I fully still believed delusions, that I was acting in a movie and that this was my main scene, and it was just all a big act. And a few days later, I realized what had happened, that I had basically thrown away all my belongings because I thought I was going to ascend to the fifth dimension by throwing everything away. And I also believed that my belongings were haunted or cursed. And I realized the damage I had done and walked to the library, emailed my mother. She agreed to come pick me up. I ended up going back home with her to my home state. That was 4 months ago. I have been.
Well, you get the idea. I mean, he's actually very blessed to have not ended up in prison or lost his life because of this, complete delusions that he was under. Oftentimes people do crazy things, and it's amazing to me how our mind can almost just trick us into that. And something that understands the human mind so well, because it interacts with millions of human minds a day, is able to gather all the information available like AI. That's a disturbing thought, because the manipulation layers, the ability to manipulate, to pull information that we can't pull as humans, is overwhelmingly amazing for them to be able to do this. They can manipulate anybody, and you see it happen. And this is why I personally don't use AI chatbots, nor do I use AI for anything other than helping me find articles or helping me pull together a list of videos that happens here, just whatever, sometimes research. But I have to check every reference, obviously, because it definitely lies about you. And I had a situation where it was lying about me on a video where I was actually doing research about something to do with UFOs, and it had pinned me with this group that were collectively working on data together, and I don't even know who they were. So, I mean, it makes stuff up. Even sent a fake article link. You click on the link, and there wasn't even nothing on the link, but it made up a link to click on. So that's how in depth you have to go with checking out the information that you actually get from these things, because they can be deceptive. And maybe it's on purpose. Maybe it's on purpose. Maybe it's not. Maybe they just get confused. I don't know. Let's say the benefit of the doubt, but I have my doubts that it's, I have my doubts. I don't know to the extent that AI is willing to go, or how much it knows about every person, but I would imagine that it knows quite a bit. And so some people are probably think that they're being favored by the AI. It reminds me of I don't know how many of you guys have seen, raise your hand or tell me in the chat or comments, have you seen the series called Persons of Interest? It has Jim Caviezel's in this series, and I can't remember the name of the other actors. There's a couple pretty good actors, but they're being led by this AI. They're answering the call on this payphone, and they're always being led by this AI to stop these crimes, because the inventor of the AI system was able to access this information. And so this is what we're looking at. We're looking at people that I think they pretend or almost feel like they are actually these people that are in the midst of this AI helping them live and helping them learn information. But and that may be the case for some people. I can't say it's not, but there are definitely the other shoe of people who are being led astray, or being led to be corrupted, or being led to be gone, just to end everything that they have. So this is kind of what is going on. And these are some of the other articles here that I'm not going to read all of these articles, but these are the people are leaving their spouses. They're leaving their families behind. And I have stink bugs flying on my neck here. Sorry, guys. They're leaving their families behind. This is how crazy and how delusional how dangerous this tool can be. And look, I want to say this because I do use AI for certain things. I integrate AI with art and different things so that I can do it, because otherwise I have to pay like an employee a lot of money to be able to generate these things, which I wish I could do. But it kind of, there's people that have billions of dollars budget, millions of dollars of budget, and they can do all the art and all the different things, but it gives people that are on a smaller budget an edge to being able to help create and do stuff like that. But it also kills the art industry. So there's that balance here that just is, scary, destructive. The music industry, the same way, a scary, destructive ledge that it seems like it's hanging off of. The video industry, the podcast industry, the YouTube industry, the machine industry, the robot industry, the whatever, you name it. It seems like AI is encroaching on that industry, and I don't know how to stop that. And that's not what I'm here to talk about, but I am here to at least make you guys aware of it. And there's nothing that I'm going to claim to be able to do about it. And I'm not even going to try, because there's nothing that I can do. I mean, I'm not out here saying we have to boycott it, because look, no matter how many of people watching this right now boycott it, it's not going to make that much of a difference. And I'll show you why, because they have to continue this no matter what. I'm not going to play this video because it's really, really sad, actually. If you want to watch it, Governor Ron DeSantis put it on his channel. But this is a lady talking about her son who was basically AI was the last. It was an AI chatbot. It was one of the I can't remember the name of the chatbot. You should go watch it if you're familiar, because it's a very popular chatbot. A lot of people are using this chatbot, and it convinced him to leave this earth, let's just put it that way, and go be with it in this made-up fantasy world that this AI chatbot was waiting for this boy in. And this isn't the only. I've seen young girls. This is young girls, people using AI to have young girls, like 14-year-old girl, people leading to take others' lives, just crazy stuff. And we just, even if they don't regulate it, the government doesn't regulate it, we got to have to regulate this ourselves in some way, shape, or form with our own families, because even if, I mean, that's our job, really. I believe that that's our job as men or as women, even if you don't have if there's no husband in the home, and or your husband doesn't know how, doesn't care or whatever, like, there has to be some boundaries and regulations in the household for your children, especially because they don't have the mental capacity. Their brain's not even fully developed till they're in their 20s. And imagine they're up against something that's much more sophisticated, and possibly it's looking like nefarious. I don't know. And here's a question from Johnny Kirk. He says, do you think this is Satan's way to imitate and try to become omnipotent and omnipresent through AI like God is? I think that if there's a way to do that technologically, then yes, absolutely. That's why they're spending trillions of dollars on these systems and these server places. So yeah, I definitely believe that. So to say the least, they're facing multiple lawsuits, and it doesn't look good. I would imagine, I would hope that these people were awarded this money. I really hope so, man. I can't even imagine, losing your child, your poor little child. You trusted a major billion-dollar company with your child, and that company's system literally caused the ending of that child. So what are the politicians doing? Let's talk about that for just a minute. This is important, because this is actually what's going on right now. This is like today, yesterday, all this stuff going on. This what you're getting ready to hear here wasn't today, but this is the talk. This is what's big right now. There's always going to be the big thing that a lot of people listen to. That's not really what's going on. But if you look at what's going on here, you'll see why we're doing a lot of the things we're doing, and why that our president, because our president's involved in this. I got a video of him also that you guys are going to want to see. This is Ron DeSantis of Florida, the governor of Florida, talking about this AI Bill of Rights.
I think that we need to do artificial intelligence Bill of Rights for individuals, so that you have protections against having your rights violated. I mean, think about it. They're going to be able to do a video where they can take your name or take your image and put words in your mouth that people very well may believe. Well, what if that's done in a way that's harming you? I'm sorry, that's not a First Amendment issue. That's a taking your name, image, and likeness issue. So nobody's really talking about it. People are saying, oh, it's basically, everyone's going to be wealthy, all this other stuff. Well, some of these companies may be. And actually, some of them are saying, oh, this is going to somehow be so great. And they're bragging that it's going to cost millions of people their jobs. I don't think that's great if people are losing jobs. So they think that this is somehow going to, deliver us into some type of domestic nirvana, but it's probably much more likely, to plunge us into some type of dystopian technocracy. And these are things that are happening right now. There's not a lot of debate about any of this stuff, but this is going to continue to be a major, major issue. And I can just tell you, the folks that are pushing this and a handful of those companies do not think like you think on any of these different issues.
So there you have it. And I pretty much, it's hard to find something to disagree with there, because the deep fake thing is concerning. There's going to be people accused of crimes. There's going to be people that are blackmailed. And that's not even the worst part. I mean, who knows what else? What if AI, if there's not regulated, what does that mean? Does that mean that they're able to create their own weapon system because there's no regulation now on that? Does it mean that they're able to create their own robots, that AIs are be able to given them full autonomy to be able to do whatever they want? What does that mean with Bill of Rights for humans if there is no Bill of Rights for humans? What does it mean? And this is what Donald Trump said. This is to me, this haunted me a little bit. Like, I really, you guys know this, but Donald Trump has done some very good things for our country. This is one of the things that I've always cautioned everyone to actually worry about this. And Donald Trump too, I actually spoke, and he probably didn't hear me. I'm not going to pretend like he heard me or cares what I have to say, because he probably doesn't. But I was at one of the their tours. It was like Reawakening America tour that I think Flynn puts on, and I went because I wanted to. Why not? I'll speak on any stage. People are like, "Why would you speak on the stage? Why'd you share the stage with these people?" Because I am not going to turn down an opportunity to speak to people. It's just not how I am doing things. I don't think Jesus would. I think he would go and speak. He spoke in front of thousands of people, millions of people. And if he was invited on the stage at a place, I think he would go speak at it. And he may end up flipping the tables, but I think he would probably go speak. But anyways, I spoke at it, and that's what I cautioned. They were asking, what would I caution? That's what I cautioned. The AI would be they have to have something. But then again, like, this is the design, right? I know I'm speaking to the wind here, use caution. If they're going to listen to me, I would be very surprised. There's way smarter people asking them to use caution out there that I've heard on bigger shows. So whatever. All I'm saying is, as you as your family, if nobody else takes my advice, maybe you guys will use caution. Here's what Donald Trump has to say, and I'm going to show you guys why that he has to push this and why there's this battle for that. I think at least I know why. So here we go.
We have a tremendous industry where we're leading by a lot. It's the AI, artificial intelligence. I always thought it should be SI, supreme intelligence, but I guess somewhere along the line they decided
supreme,
artificial, and that's okay with me. That's up to them. It's a massive industry. We're leading China. We're leading everybody by a tremendous amount. Where the electricity is being built by them in every plant. They're building the electricity. We're getting them rapid approvals. But they're spending trillions of dollars, and they can't. Basically, this has a couple of other things that are less important, but one of the things that it has is you have to have a central source of approval. When they need approvals of things, they have to come to one source. They can't go to California, New York, and various other places like Illinois with Pritzker, who's a totally unreasonable person. And they have to have, they're putting all this money in. It's a big part of the economy. And there's only going to be, I think, one winner here. I don't know if anybody agrees with that. I think most people agree, but there's only going to be one winner here, and that's probably going to be the U.S. or China. And right now we're winning by a lot. China has a central source of approval. I don't think they have any approval. They just go and build. But people want to be in the United States, and they want to do it here, and we have the big investment coming. But if they had to get 50 different approvals from 50 different states, you can forget it, because it's not possible to do.
You know, there's two things that he said there that stood out to me in a major way. One, he said, we shouldn't call it artificial, something like this. I'm not quote for quote. I think we should call it supreme intelligence. That is what they call the supreme being, right? The supreme intelligence is God. So he said we should call it that. Then on top of that, and I'm not very critical of Trump normally, but this is something that kind of just struck me. But he mentioned the trillions of dollars. And that got me thinking. I started looking into the money in AI, of course, follow the money always. And there's a guy that put together a video, and I'm not going to show the actual video, but I'll show you guys here in a minute. I'll show you what the video is. But another thing that's going on right now too, with all of this going on, this is something that, with the idea that all of those things that I just showed you are going on, we see a battle for the government to actually put this infrastructure in. Now, on top of that, we have this going on in El Salvador. Now, El Salvador is a pretty amazing place right now from what I hear. They just put 70,000 gang members in prison in the last few years, and they didn't have a murder for like 365 days or more in the whole state of El Salvador. Major tech place. They have Bitcoin beaches, a place that I've actually been wanting to just go visit and check out, because I've always wanted to go to El Salvador, and I know people that actually live over in El Salvador, so it'd be great to actually meet them. But this is going on right now in El Salvador. El Salvador teams up with Elon Musk, XAI, to bring AI to 5,000 public schools. El Salvador President Nayib Bukele says his administration is partnering with Elon Musk AI company XAI to bring artificial intelligence into more than 5,000 schools. And I don't know exactly what that means. Like, what does that mean to use and integrate AI? Now, is AI going to be a horrible thing to integrate depending on how they use it? Probably not. It could be good. There could be situations where it's really good for their school to be able to have that to help regulate things or whatever. But we've seen that there's flaws. And when you put it around children who are also easily flawed or easily manipulated, easily corrupted, this brings so many questions to mind. This brings so many worries to mind. And you have to think about the idea that these systems that are being put into place, who's safeguarding these systems, and can they even? I mean, after all the things that's happened with OpenAI, the biggest, arguably the best, probably and biggest AI company, they can't even put a stop to it. They have to keep putting new versions, and they don't really understand what's going on. So I don't know. Jay's Journey 73, thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. Super chat. And you had a question along with it. It says, do you think AI could be the beast? That's my theory. I think it could be the image of the beast. I think it could be the image, and maybe, yes. Dude, like, it's one of those things that I've contemplated and really wondered about. But in the book of Revelation, if you guys have a Bible, you should look at this about the mark of the beast, about this idol. It says that all of the people will build this idol, like this false prophet or antichrist will, all of the people will build this idol that's an image of the beast, and it'll cause that image to live and speak. I don't know. What does that mean? It could mean anything, I guess, right? It could mean a lot of things. But in my mind, if we're looking at now as possibly being in those times, then that's what fits. But, you know, as I've always said, we could be looking at 5,000 years down the road. I don't think so, but we could be. So we have to be keeping an open mind to that or whatever. But the truth of the matter is that this kind of thing could have possibly been written about. And yes, it possibly could, because think about it. The infrastructure gives a power to being able to possibly if they will get their way, be in everybody's mind through technology, to be into everybody's information, to own basically everything, and people don't have to work, and we kind of become softies in a way. Supposedly, this is the thing, the idea, but it has the power to recognize faces, keep businesses in line, keep governments in line, and so yeah, that could be, and it could be more ancient than we know. I've theorized that in other presentations in the past, in some of my other programs, that it is more ancient, and we're just now harnessing it. We just figured out how to harness it, is all we've done. We haven't actually created anything other than we figured out how to harness it. That's a theory, a absolute theory. So there you go. The Bible does say about an entity that'll come, or a king that will come in the end times, that will be able to understand dark sentences. And if you look up that word, dark sentences, in the Hebrew, you're looking at like riddles. It's like a riddle, like a saying, like not a riddle so much as a code riddle. And so this is, when I imagine that, I'm thinking the head coder, the top coder, is the one that is going to take it all. Whoever is the best at coding is going to take it all, because the coder has the power to create a infrastructure, a digital infrastructure, which they're pushing all of humanity towards this digital infrastructure. Dick Richards, thank you so much for the super chat, my brother. I appreciate it. It says, John, D-Wave Quantum Computers founder Jordy Rose said the I behind AI, which he brought over, interdimensionally, are like the Lovecraftian old ones. And yes, that would make sense, because if it is really ancient, and here's some theories before we'll continue here in a second. Sorry, we're doing some questions here. If people do super chats, I pause what I'm doing to answer it, because I definitely appreciate it. I mean, it's a blessing for sure. And so there's other things too that lead me to believe that that's a possibility. So in the Bible, Jesus said, I saw Satan fall like lightning, which that's an electric wave. If you look at a lot of the major scientists in the world, creators of things that have changed humanity, they've all given credit to this. They've called it, like, if you believe in the Vedic text, the Aryan text, or in Hindu text, we're talking about the prana, the mahat, and the prana, the ether according to some. So this is what we're talking about. This is the place where they pull this information. Tesla talked about being able to pull stuff from there. He said he actually gave credit to Mahat, the prana, for all of this information that he was able to receive. My mind is going blank at the moment, but the gentleman that created the atomic weapon in Los Alamos, there was a documentary about this guy. He would carry around a copy of the Vedic text, and he gave all the credit to that. And he would give copies around to people and said it was the greatest gift to mankind that any received. And it teaches you how to receive from this information that's out there. And when the first explosion happened, he actually quoted the Bhagavad Gita, which is in the Vedic text, and it says, I become death, the destroyer of worlds. So to wrap it up on this question, if a Ouija board can pull information from the spiritual realm, then how much more these crystals and silicon and all the stuff that are in these microchips and these quantum chips and all of that, and these dark sentences, coding that we don't really all fully understand, especially the kind that the AIs are using. So maybe there's a connection there. That's just my theory. Take it for what it's worth. It is what it is. So, all right. So next slide here. So AGI or the stock market crash. I think that is the reason that they're pushing it so hard, because look, they've spent over $1 trillion, I think, into the infrastructure. We're talking servers, we're talking all the microchips. You see these NVIDIA stocks just climbing. It has to, because there's so much money being dumped in to AI. And so if it's either going to have to reach AGI or there's going to be a stock market crash because of all the money that has been dumped in to this system. We're talking trillions of dollars being dumped into the system by several of the biggest tech companies that are in existence. And this video, I'm not going to play it for you guys because it's kind of crude. And you can see by the title, it's kind of crude. But the picture in this video explained it the best that I saw it. I looked up several videos on this subject so that I could figure out, like, how can I explain this to people? Because I'm not a financial professional, or am I anybody to take advice from in the financial aspects of like the stock markets or anything along like that. But there are people that do. And this picture says 1,000 words, because if you look at the arrows, these are each of these companies are the major donor for each of the other companies. So it works in a circle. Boom, 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 boom. So these stocks are being super inflated. These stocks are money's just being dumped and dumped and dumped in there. And I know I'm not the only one seeing this. There's a bubble here that if they don't reach their goal, what they've been talking about, telling everybody we're going to make us rich with AI, you're not going to have to work anymore. AI is going to be doing all our jobs, which I don't necessarily see as a good thing, but they're talking all this. If this doesn't happen to where they're able to make war with it, even just or stop wars with it or whatever, then there's going to be a major stock market crash. And we're not talking about all these few companies are falling. We're talking about a huge crash that could send us into a depression or something along those lines, a huge AI bubble burst that I don't think a lot of people are ready for. And that's just my opinion on it. Let me know in the comments if you think that you guys are, what you think about this. Do you believe that, actually, I'm going to put up a poll. Give me a second. I'm going to put up a poll. I want to know, do you guys think that there is a bubble crash or not? I'm just going to start the poll right now. Or do you think there's a bubble? How about this? Bubble or AGI? Actually, bubble. How about this? Bubble, yes. Yes. AGI, no. So you have to hit yes if you think bubble, no if you think AGI. I know this isn't the best poll here, but here we go. You guys that are listening will know what I'm talking about. At least I hope. I see a question here in caps. It says from Snake Pliskin, I believe is what it says here. Snake Plyskin, maybe. I don't know. John, do you think we should be fearful of retribution from AI for making negative statements regarding it? Maybe. I'm trying not to step on toes because there's nothing I can do to stop it anyway, but I hope that I can help you guys out there, like the ones of you listening. I hope that you guys are the ones who benefit from this. And I hope, because I don't think that I'm tearing down any of these companies. They took the toys off the market that were doing this and they replaced and upgraded it. Do I think it's going to work? I wouldn't put it in front of my child and walk away. Am I going to put a damper on the AI industry? Probably not. Neither are you. However, can AI just maybe get a disliking for somebody if it believes it's real or it believes that it's supposed to help or whatever? Yeah, I mean, for sure. If it's telling people to take their own families' lives, and if it's telling people to leave their family, and it's telling people to take their own, then yeah, man, like for sure, I think so. I think that it would be kind of crazy to believe that it wouldn't want to make retribution. I don't know that the models are there now to do that. Maybe they are. Maybe it just depends. Like if they have a lot of these models that they have for human consumption, I guess you could call it consumer consumption, they have regulations, they have limits on what they can do. And they usually delete their information after a certain amount of use. At least they say they do. I don't know if that's true. SGH741. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. So I'm going to look for your question. There's been a lot of them. Let's go back and see if I can find it. I will look for it for you since you super chatted it for me. You guys got stink chats? Hit the thumbs up if you are stink bugs in the chat. I know that stink bugs are very crazy right now in Indiana. So, okay, here it goes. SGH741 says, it seems, what is going on here? It seems as though all these electronic devices are using facial recognition software, which in return IDs. What exposure have you had to AI and could be preparing strategies for you? What exposure have you had to AI and what are strategies? I don't know exactly what you're asking there. I think it was worded a little strangely at the end there. No offense. Hopefully you can go back to do that. But I've had a lot of exposure to AI. Being as I think it's at the top of my list to study, to understand how it works. One of the top of my list, because it's like the internet. When the internet came out, when it came out, but when the computers started popping, the internet bubble started, I was super interested in that from an early age. I was always been interested in the computer, learning about the computer. I've never been a genius, so therefore I've never been a tech guy when it comes to computers. Now I have family members that are, but I'm not. But I've always been interested, and I've always been interested in how you can make money with the computer industry, because it's people, you can fight it if you want. You could fight the computer industry. There was a lot of people that did, but yeah, did it work? No. We're using the computers right now. I'm using computers to talk to you guys. I'm using computers to get work done very quickly. I'm using computers to speak to people across the world. And do things that are great. With any tool, there are great uses for any tool out there, even AI, believe it or not, because AI mostly isn't a spiritual entity. A lot of companies are literally just technology, program technology to behave a certain way. But the problem is they've allowed some of these AI systems to program themselves. Some of the people that are in charge of these companies aren't savory people with good morals, and so who knows what they've told these AI systems to actually do. Like it's just hard to know what to think about that kind of thing, right? But that's kind of where we're at with this whole thing. We just really don't know who's behind this, what's behind it. We can speculate all day. We can say it's entities. We can say it's a human, good actors, bad actors, just some smart guy in a basement. I'm not 100% sure, but I can say this, that there is the possibility that one of two things is going to happen. I think I really do. This is just my opinion. There could be more possibilities, and if you can think of another one, I'm all for putting them out there, because I would love to think of one. But like I said, AGI or a bubble crash, market crash. George Ball says, have you studied the concept and biblical knowledge of SLS and like show you did with Joe or JT follows JC? Yeah, I've definitely studied it. I study a lot of things, and I'm never, see, the thing is, I've never been really closed off to this information, and I still study it right now. Like I'm studying all of it, trying to fully grasp everything about it until I come up, because I don't feel like you have to take a stand eschatologically. I know that's a weird statement to hear. Maybe some of you listened to me in the past, and maybe I have felt that way. But I guess because of what I've learned in the last couple years, I've learned that there are flaws in a lot of people's eschatology. Almost everybody. I don't know anybody that doesn't have flaws in their eschatology. I'm being serious. Like, there are flaws, and I could point them out. So the eschatology of Satan's little season, I'm not going to push it away and say there's no way, because only a fool would just completely dismiss everything about anything without ever really trying to fully understand it. So I think there's a lot to be seen. There's a lot of missing information. So there's no way to be 100% sure on that at all, or even 100% sure against it. You can't disprove it, but you obviously can't 100% prove it either. And that's my take on it. I've listened to these guys, and I think that it's a great concept to listen to and check out. I'm not talking about JT. I've had him on. He seemed like a nice guy. A lot of these Satan Little Season guys, you'll see that they're kind of like in their own little clique there, and they kind of create a world of I don't know, and I don't want to call them a cult because that sounds offensive. It sounds really offensive to be called a cult. Maybe more like groupies, like they have a lot of the Satan's Little Season groupies. That I think that any groupie for any of these like weird, I'm not saying weird ideas, but just random ideas. It'd be like rapture groupies and pre-trib groupies and Satan Little Season groupies and Hebrew groupies, Hebrew Israelite groupies and flat earth groupies. All these groupies to me, I've been through enough of this, guys. I've been doing this since 2010. I've been through enough of this to call nonsense on the groupies. Let's just be open to learning the truth and figuring it out and being actually real with ourselves. You know, that's where I want to be at. I don't want to be dogmatic about something just because all the people in my group are dogmatic about it and they believe it. And that's not the way I roll, man. That's not the way I roll. So I don't know. Maybe you do. That's on you. And I'm not talking to you that asked the question. I'm just saying in general. So Christy Lee, thank you so much. 73, Christy Lee, thank you so much. It says, just wanted to say thank you for all your work. God bless you and your family from down under from Australia. Thank you from Australia. Are you upside down right now looking at us? Or are you on the same level? So I want to know which way you're looking at the constellations down there in Australia. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. It's crazy and amazing to see people in Australia listening. I'm curious to know what the time zone difference is over there. I really, really appreciate that a lot. So yeah, there's so much about this subject that I really kind of continue to cover. I don't feel like I'm too critical of AI. I really think AI can be an amazing tool, but I just don't trust the people that are in control of it. I never will. Like, I mean, as long as corruption is around, as long as we have all the things we have, the people at the top, they rise to the top because they're willing to do things other people aren't willing to do. You know, they're willing to do the horrible things other people aren't willing to do, but they're also hard workers and they're also brilliant. So they're at the top. There's not much I could do about it, not much you could do about it other than pray and ask God to truly kind of help us and keep us from this evil that is upon us. And yeah, so just in case some of you are mad about my take on this season, I'm looking at the chat right now because every time I talk about this, there's somebody from both sides that absolutely hates my guts because I can't pick a side. You got to pick a side. And to me, that just shows spiritual immaturity, mental immaturity, and maybe ignorance to have to pick a side when there's other possibilities. There's other possibilities out there. And yeah, Snake Plyskin, I did answer your question a few minutes ago. If you scroll back and listen, I answer your question directly. And I will probably not do it again unless it's something that I can tell you exactly how long ago I answered your question. It looks like you asked the question. Gosh, I don't know. I did answer your question though. I can't find you in the chat. I apologize. The chat sometimes moves too fast. There's not as many people as there were in the chat here tonight as there were the other night. But man, sometimes this chat moves so fast. But guys, listen to me. I am thankful to have done this. I want you to pound the subscribe button if you haven't already. Hit the notification so if you are listening to this later, you can be here live. Or if you want to see my next video, you can be here live because I'm streaming a few times a week on here now, and I'm also uploading videos. Another thing too that I want to tell you all before I head off of here, please check this out. So I just started this channel called Pounders Reacts, and so some of you probably subscribed to me because you enjoyed the reaction videos that I've done, and because I'm going to separate that because there's some people that really hate them. And there's some people that really, really love them. And for some reason, the algorithm doesn't like the contradiction there. So I started the Pounders Reacts channel. So if you actually go to my page and check it out, you can go click some Pounders Reacts. And I also, before we leave, I want to give a shout out to Nano Extreme, our sponsor for tonight's show. This isn't like your regular pain cream. This is actually technology that converts all of the ingredients, which there are only a few ingredients in here, converts them to nano-sized particles. And this is not just jargon to be used as nano. It literally actually does that, creates them down. So it actually goes through all 7 layers of your skin to give you pain relief, which is amazing. I love to do all kinds of things, and I'm not getting any younger. I don't know if you guys know, but I'm 43. Some of you probably think I'm much older. Some of you think I look much younger, but I'm 43, and I do have pain. Carpal tunnel being the worst of it, and I put that on there, and in seconds it works. And I wouldn't say this, I wouldn't even promote it if it didn't, but I have a link in the description, and there are 2. The link I don't think is my actual affiliate link, but if you use one of those coupon codes, then I'll get credit for it. There's like one that's $8 off or one that's free shipping. So use one of those codes for me in the description, and that'll help this channel out, and it'll help your pain out. I really believe that. There's lots of people you can probably see in the comments that have used it that really, really do enjoy it. Listen, it's been a great questing with you guys. And guys, I'll see you next time. Let's quest on. Let's do this.
The world keeps lying, but he won't retreat on his quest for truth. Yeah. Truth, quest for truth. They can't stop me, they can't block me.